All right. Week 15 done. It's getting late. Dom, how we feeling?
I'm feeling better today than I was Sunday mid-evening.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I
No,
feel you there.
it was a rough second half for the Steelers, probably their worst of the season. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit here.
Yeah,
But other than that, I mean, if they were going to lose one, that's the one to lose at the end of the day.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, not going to be easy this week either.
No.
But all right, let's get into the probably biggest news from the weekend. Josh
Um,
Allen pretty much just solidified himself as MVP this year.
yeah,
In that
actually,
win
I didn't
against
even think.
the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, he went in, he handled business. I mean, they went up pretty quick there. Also, though, I didn't think that's what you're going to say is the biggest news coming out of this weekend, but
Hmm.
we'll get into that, I'm
I feel
sure.
like it's probably the leading one at this point.
Yeah,
Just
fair
kind
enough.
of, it's been a lot of discussion. I was still on the Saquon MVP train. He had a quieter couple of games. I think if the touchdown numbers there were a little bit heavier, like they really could have been, like
Yeah,
we talked about before, I think it's a much closer discussion.
yeah,
But yeah, Allen's just, I said this to you a little bit beforehand too. I think he's very deserving of it, but I also think there's a little bit of a
of
media
course,
push
sure.
to make sure he gets it, not just because he's too talented not to have one, but also just because I think everybody,
Hmm.
like, even the NFL wants to have some form of a discussion about, like, at least who the best quarterback alive is and everything like that. Because I saw that pop up on some shows and everything like that, which
Yeah,
I think is, we're kind of losing the plot on that one a little bit there, despite the numbers. But, the NFL has to create some form of parity at least. And if that's the one that they're
well,
going to roll with right now, then that's kind of just where we're at.
yeah, I mean, it's not the first time there's been a narrative push in the
Mhm.
NFL. They did it last year with DPOY.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it again in the future. So, what are you gonna do? But
Yeah. But again,
I mean,
I'm not taking anything away from him from this year by any means by saying that.
yeah, I definitely think as long as they continue to handle business with these last three games, which they definitely should. Patriots,
Especially if they
Jets,
end up getting,
Patriots.
yeah, then too, somehow.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes being a little banged up going up against Houston and Pittsburgh is definitely not ideal for him.
Right.
And then
But
they
also
played
probably going to be the
Denver. Is
best
they?
possible thing. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they
I mean,
finished with Denver, but like
so
what could potentially happen is that they could roll Mahomes out this week
hmm
against the Texans, who are a weaker team.
yeah, yeah,
They just clinched the division, right? Yeah, I think, right?
I think so. I mean, makes sense. No, no, they didn't.
Or did they clinch? Yeah, they clinched the division.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah, they clinched the division. Yeah, they're 9-5, and they have the two wins against the Colts already. So yeah, they clinched the division. So
hmm
how motivated are they going to be? If the Steelers win this weekend,
They clinched the
they
division.
clinch the division. Meaning, again, how motivated are they going to be, and how locked into their seating are they going to be? So you could rest Mahomes on the short week there, give him the 10 days, and then the Broncos could be in a situation where they're locked into their seed in week 18,
hmm
and there's your first half tune-up game going into the playoffs or into the
Yeah, I
bye
mean,
week kind of thing.
I highly doubt they're gonna sit Mahomes these next two games,
I
just
doubt.
because
I
you're.
feel like there's no way they sit him this week. I feel like
So
Christmas Day is the one that I would look at.
I guess you'll kind of see like how he looks that game.
Mhm.
My argument to that is the Chiefs arguably have, and even the Steelers here and the Ravens, maybe less so the Ravens because you guys played Cleveland your final week, but like the Chiefs are playing like three playoff teams to
Yeah,
finish their season. That's good. That gets you playoff football ready.
yeah,
Steelers are playing two playoff teams and one high power offense. That gets you playoff football ready. Same with Ravens. Kind of with the Texans, they play Baltimore and they
yeah.
play Kansas City. So it's just like those games just kind of get you ready to go. So you're going to sit your best player to rest him. I do get that. But on the other end of the spectrum, you want that team to be ramped up and together. But obviously, though,
Totally
if you
get
win
that.
this week,
I'm just saying for the sake of like, if this was a normal 3 weeks, I agree with everything that you're saying there. With the shortened week going Sunday to Saturday to Wednesday, with that little weird scheduling part of it there, I wouldn't be shocked if they kind
No,
of, just to avoid it, especially if he is still a little bit banged up.
no. I mean, they win this week though. I'm pretty sure they clinch. They don't clinch. They don't clinch the 1 seed with the win.
Now, because Buffalo has the tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's so tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, going forward, we'll kind of definitely keep a close eye on everything and see kind of what progresses there.
Right.
But yeah, it's
That's
definitely going to be a weird one here in the AFC with these last three and how they play out. Because I mean,
yeah.
even for the Steelers, that 1 seed is still somehow in play with their loss this week.
Yeah, they just got to they have to win
I
out.
mean, you need the Chiefs to lose out
Yeah, I
13 to
mean,
1. That's so crazy to me.
I know it's insane. I mean, Pittsburgh wins this week. I know you kind of say they're locked into the 3 seed at that point.
That worst, yeah. But
Like,
it's going to
yeah,
be really tough. Buffalo would really
I
have
mean,
to slide.
Houston could pass them. They're only a game back, but like,
They play the Chiefs and Baltimore. If Baltimore
right,
loses on Saturday, they're not losing Christmas Day.
right. That's
Lamar's going to
very, very
be
true.
Lamar's going
Yeah, that's true. And that's pretty much the extent of it. And then there's just that battle for the 6 and 7 seed right now, which the
to, yeah,
Broncos could take full control over at this point.
yeah. It's one of those play it
It's
out and
weird.
kind of see. Yeah,
Definitely weird.
Chargers are definitely in a weird place.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Looking a little funky the last 2 weeks here.
Yeah,
On the flip side, though, in the NFC, that one's the weirder moving
there's a lot of
seeding more than anything. There's a lot of moving parts going on there.
yeah,
So right now, the Lions, Eagles, and Vikings are all 12-2. Eagles are
yeah.
officially locked in at worst case scenario. They're the 2 seed. They can still obviously pass the Lions for the 1 seed. However, the
Well,
Lions,
they haven't clinched. Have they clinched the division or just a playoff spot? They just
who's
clinched the
that?
playoff spot
Who's
because
that?
if they
The
so
Eagles?
technically, yeah, the Eagles
Eagles, okay, technically,
they could
yeah,
lose
but
out and
they have to lose out and the Commanders have to win.
yeah. I mean, it'll start and end this week with the
Yeah.
Commanders.
Well, right. Exactly. But then the Eagles also get Cowboys at home and Giants at home to end the season. I'm sorry, they're
Hey man,
not losing both of those games.
I'm just trying not to feed out false narratives yet.
Right. However, let's be real. I mean, mathematically, they haven't clinched the division, but like they've
Yeah,
clinched the division.
I get what you're saying. No, I get what
They're
you're
going to be the 1 or the 2 seed no matter what.
saying. Yeah, but that's not the
That's
two
not the
weird
case for
ones.
it's not the case for the Lions. Lions, as the 1 seed right now, can fall to the 5 seed. Minnesota actually kind of controls their own destiny at this point. Minnesota wins out, they win the division, and Detroit's the 5 seed because they play
Well,
Detroit again.
yeah, it's all gonna come down to that final
Mhm.
game, who wins that game, and then it's gonna come down to if there's somehow both, I don't know, we'll say 13 and 2 going into that last week.
Yeah, and I feel like the bye is so much more important to the Lions right now, just to get
Yeah,
some of your IR guys back, hopefully.
yeah. The Lions are 4-0 in division, and the
Mhm.
Vikings are 3-1. That's their only
Their only
loss
losses
in
to
Detroit.
the Lions. Yeah.
So the
However,
Lions
Lions get
hold that.
Bears, Niners, and then the Vikings to end it. Both the next 2 games on the road. The Vikings, however, they have to go to Seattle, then they get the Packers at home, and then go to Detroit.
Yeah, I think the Vikings definitely have the harder schedule there to end the year. I
For
mean,
sure.
the Lions playing the Bears this week's huge. That team looks like uh what's the opposite of the 85 Bears? The 2010
Offense is probably
Browns.
about the same.
It's what for the yeah, you got me there. No, I mean they look like a freaking mess in
I know
Chicago.
Caleb looks like a deer in headlights right now. That defense looks like it's quit.
The team doesn't know what it wants to do,
No, they
and
just.
it's so hilarious that there's a point where we thought this team was actually something.
I know. Yeah, it just everything made sense, and
Yeah,
then it all just went
so
to shit.
They're
Like
like
the
the
roster
Browns.
construction, again, I mean, you see it in division here, like the difference between a good coaching staff
Yeah,
and what we thought a not so great roster was with the
yeah,
Vikings.
yeah.
Looking
They're
at
like
that,
the
and it's
Cleveland
just,
Browns of the NFC. Great roster on paper. They're
mhm.
supposed to be the best team. They're not at all.
Yeah, no, I know
Like
what
the
you mean.
exact
It's
same thing.
Yeah, it's just so ugly. So ugly. But anyway, and then the two other races right now, Rams kind of seized control of the NFC West. It feels like at this point,
Yeah,
especially
I
with
mean,
the Geno injury. Who knows what's going to happen there?
yeah, they definitely hold their own destiny, and they kind of have a nice schedule to end the year here with Jets and Cardinals, and then
Hmm.
Seahawks final week. Whereas the Seahawks are not looking great, where they play the Vikings, Bears, then the Rams.
Yeah,
Bears that's interesting.
yeah, that's true. Bears, I don't know, could be playing spoiler here at some point for somebody just because.
That they need to become a team that wants to win to play spoiler.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
and then I mean all that to say that the most interesting part of this all is that 7 seed with
Hmm.
the Commanders, Seahawks, and I mean even if you want to toss the Falcons and Cardinals in there, still like inching back
Yeah,
because the Commanders do play the Eagles and the Falcons the next 2 weeks. It's not necessarily like a given that
yeah, they're
they're
not
in there.
Kate walking through anything here.
So
It's not the Bills finishing schedule.
no, no, I mean they win two, I think they're good. They win one, honestly, I think they're good.
Yeah, I think
Just
10's the
looking
number
at
to
the
get
others,
to there because,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Seahawks do have the better divisional record right now, but
for
Washington
sure.
has the better conference record. I just saw that. Yeah, they have a little bit more control there. The only one is just like if the Falcons get hot at the end of the year here with
If the
Penix.
Falcons finish out, go 3-0, we'll see. I'm just there's too many question marks on that team for me to be like, yeah, that's they're fine.
It's
They
fair.
haven't beaten like if you really want to play this game, their wins
I'm just
are the
saying with like
Raiders.
with the tiebreakers. That's the only reason I
Yeah,
point them
sure.
out because they're 4-1 in division right now, 6-3 in the conference.
Yeah. I mean, just I don't think they've beaten the only team they've beaten with a winning records all year is the Eagles, week two,
Yeah.
which at this point I don't even know if that counts, and the Buccaneers. That's it. So that accounts for 3 of their 7. Everything else is against losing teams. And then from week two on, you lose to the Chiefs, the Seahawks. You lost to the Saints, the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Vikings.
Yeah.
So looking at their end of season, they'll go 2-1 to finish out because
Yeah.
you're playing two teams with a losing record.
True.
If I had to guess,
Yeah, you can kind of bank on that. You'd love to go 3-0 though. I don't know. Again, yeah, it's just if the bank still runs out here at any point in time.
yeah. Well, that's
Don't know
what
what
you're
you're
hoping
sitting at.
on.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Buccaneers don't really have a hard schedule here to end it out, and that's
No.
very beneficial to them.
Yeah, it's gonna help them
Going
a
up
lot here.
against Cowboys, Panthers, Saints.
It's gonna screw me in one of
It
my preseason bets though, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that's your fault for putting faith in Kirk Cousins.
It was just not as much faith in the Bucks to actually make the playoffs.
That's fair.
That was
It's
more of
fair.
it. All right. Which speaking of which, I guess we can just go right into that. Yeah, Michael Penix starting for the Falcons since we didn't actually
Yes.
address that.
So this was the big news I thought you were going to bring up from the weekend and kind of what happened.
Hmm.
So obviously Kirk Cousins has been struggling of late. The
Hmm.
man's interception machine at this point. He looks lost,
Yeah, he's
confused, kind
throwing
of like,
ducks.
yeah, doesn't really know what he's going on. They should probably take him back to the old person hospital there and just kind of let him retirement home, as one might say, and just
Drop
kind
him
of let
off in
him relax.
Augusta.
Yeah, nothing against Kirk, but he looks more and more washed as the days go by, and they still owe
Yeah.
him like $70 million. So
Yeah.
good luck with that, Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, contract wise,
You're kind of
good.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say now you're kind of happy that you did draft Penix and
Hmm.
you do have this immediate plan for a backup for your future instead of hoping that something kind of falls into your lap.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, this is where I did mildly defend them on all of that was because of this reason that, like, okay, if everything goes to shit with Kirk, you
Yeah,
have a guy that's ready to play. And it doesn't
yeah,
hurt him to just, sit for a little bit and watch a little bit either. Like, everybody can use that, obviously. But, like, in terms of,
yeah.
like, him and Bo Nix were the pro ready guys, like, the very clear
Day
cut
one.
ones. Yeah, that, like, yeah, the ceiling might not be as high, but, like, these guys are ready to play. The only other thing with this is that it does mostly kind of solidifies that Kirk's done. Like you can't go back to Kirk now.
I mean, you can. It's
It's not going
I
to
would
go
not.
well.
Nothing's gonna go well. It wasn't gonna go well when you drafted a quarterback at 8.
You know.
They knew that. So what I would think is you let Penix rat out the end of this year, kind of see what happens.
Mhm.
If he shows up, shows out, performs great, he's your starter next year. He doesn't, he's mild, he's below average. Okay, well, let's talk. You still have Kirk. Give Kirk a full off season now to really get healthy. I mean,
Yeah.
you ask this man to do all this on a torn Achilles 10 months later. It wasn't guaranteed. The man looked like he couldn't move at times.
Yeah.
So now give him more time to get healthy. Going into camp next year, you have a better understanding of what each quarterback kind of looks like.
Right.
So this move doesn't really tell me, hey, I'm trying to make the playoffs. This move tells me, hey, I'm trying to see what 2025 is going to look like for us.
I don't know. I feel like there is a little bit of that just because we talked about too, like
Sure,
just the
sure.
pressure
There's
that was
always,
on them that like you have to win the division this year. Like anything short
yeah.
of that was going to be a failure. And I think at this point,
Well,
you go
and
4 weeks, 4 game skid, and Kirk's looked rough.
yeah,
It does still say to me that like you're just trying to get some juice in there, whether that's just to get everybody else back on board, or it lights a fire under Kirk. One of those
yeah.
two things.
But
It's just
in the same realm, like you said, you're probably not going back to him this year.
oh yeah,
You're not.
yeah,
Because it's the same thing that Indianapolis did with Anthony Richardson. It looks bad
mhm,
when you go back. But yeah, obviously there's going to be some hopium in that area. You're
yeah,
going to hope that Penix is going to bring that juice. You're going to hope he's going to light it up the second he walks in. But let's be realistic here. He's a rookie quarterback, hasn't touched foot in the NFL field, and his team outside of the offense has also underperformed. His
yeah.
It's not just Kirk that's been bad. It's been the defense. It's been your O line. Your star
Yeah.
player's been
Well,
Bijan
I
all
mean,
season.
not all of it in this skid.
I'm not saying all of it's in the skid. I'm saying as a season as a whole.
Losing
You
three out of
guys have
four. Yeah, no, that's
underperformed.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get that. I mean, the Chargers game, defense has played really well in that game actually, but Kirk just threw four ugly picks.
Yeah.
They did get dog walked by the Broncos, and then Vikings kind of hung up 42 on them. But like, I don't know. They're a weird one at this point. Try to like figure out what's going on there
Yeah. Well,
because
not only that, you go into Las Vegas, you're expected to dominate this team.
yeah,
You have this high power offense and this great defense, and your opposing quarterback is Desmond Ritter,
yeah,
who you should already know what he looks like because he played against your defense a year ago in practice.
and then he almost
And
doubles up Kirk.
yeah. So like
Yeah,
this game shouldn't have been 15-9. It should have been
no,
28-7, but you can't. It's bad.
yeah, no. I agree with that. It's just good God.
So the hope that Penix is going to come in, light up the
Yeah,
offense, that's great, but you need to hope that the defense actually plays well too. You
yeah.
need to hope that the rest of the team rallies around.
On the bright side, they do get the Giants this week,
Yeah, it's a make right, that's for sure.
so you know,
But
give
also
them an easy
you
one to
had
kind of sling it a
well
little
they
bit.
yeah, I mean you also just had an easy one.
Well, that's what I said. But I'm saying for Penix,
Yeah.
like he's
Yeah.
getting the Giants to start
Yeah.
his first look. I mean, like that are borderline tanking at this point. They have the worst record right now.
2-12, I'm pretty sure.
Well, there's a couple 2-12 teams. Yes, they are. Them and the Raiders are both 2-12.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting
The Giants are just
first two picks off the board.
oh no. Giants are 0-8 at home.
Yeah, they're impressive.
Wow. 0-5 in division, 1-9 in the conference. Who have they beaten? I forget already. Oh, the Browns.
And the
I forgot they
Seahawks,
beat the Seahawks in Seattle. I forgot about that. God damn.
they were looking good at that point, and then
Yeah,
they
they were
weren't.
what 2-2 or 2-3 or something like that, and then
The
now they've
offense was
lost.
kind of molding together, and yeah, another
Yeah, they were 2-3, and then they
on the
proceeded to lose
downward
9
spiral.
straight.
Good for them.
And the Raiders were 2-2.
Yeah. One last thing to talk about before we get into
Mm.
like any game recaps or anything. Drew Alar, Asher's favorite quarterback, is going back to school.
It's not my favorite one. Let's just make that very clear. It's not my favorite one. I
Okay.
just think
Asher's
much more
favorite.
highly. I think much more highly of him than you do, and
Okay.
it frustrates you when I
Asher's
bring that up.
2024 draft darling, Drew Alar, is going back to school for the 2025 year.
That you can call him
So
that.
a weak quarterback class just got even weaker.
Yes.
I see these first two picks will likely be quarterbacks. With Raiders and Giants. There's going to be a reach.
Yeah.
So I expect it to be at this point, at this current moment, I expect it to be Cam Ward in some order.
Yeah. Those are going to be the first two off the board there.
If I had to pick it right now, the Giants take Cam Ward and Shadur goes to Vegas.
Mhm.
I penciled Shadur in for Vegas last year before he was even draft eligible.
Yeah.
Fit makes too much sense. That the team play chemistry wise, it just makes too much sense. Vegas is a loud city. Shadur is a loud player. This kind of all works well there. And then Cam Ward's going to go to the Giants and get murdered. It's just whatever you want. And then outside of that, I probably don't see another quarterback going in the first round. Maybe somebody takes a shot on Milrow later. That's about it.
I was going to say Milrow. I feel like could be the one that at the
He might.
combine performs his way into there's always one. There's always one combine guy that like does something there that really turns people onto them. That's who.
It's just
That was Drew Aller for me. Was like
it's just
that was
typically
is
it's
going
not
to
a
do something there.
quarterback.
Well, I mean that's what happened with Richardson.
Richardson was already known for that. He was already going
Yeah, but
into the
no, I
combine. He
understand.
was
But
already
like
a projected top 5. He wasn't like a projected top 15. He was projected top 5 pick going to the combine. It just solidified people's stances on him. Like for Jalen Milrow to go into the combine and become a top 5 pick, he would have to break like every single record
yeah, that's fair.
for combine quarterbacks. So like that's the difference. It's typically like a wide receiver who runs fast or a running back who runs
Yeah,
fast.
I just remember the Richardson
Something
stuff.
like that.
The Richardson stuff really caught steam after the college season ended. Might have been before the combine, but it was like there wasn't. It was just like there was that
So
crazy play that he made or 2-point conversion, whatever the hell it was, and
Yeah.
then you didn't hear anything from him because he got hurt again. But then it was like all of a
what it
sudden,
was,
like starting in January that was when
yeah,
things started to come out about Richardson.
people had expected him to go back to school, and he got word that a lot of teams liked him,
Mhm.
so he declared, and then that created that buzz, and immediately they were like, the guy has traits, the guy has everything you want, he
Mhm.
can be a top 5 pick, and he was a top 5 pick, limited. He didn't play a lot in college, but there's a lot of guys who don't play a lot in college who become top 5, top 10.
That's fair. Was there one other thing that I wanted to bring up with that? No.
I have no idea.
No. Do you know who's probably going to be the one that somebody takes a flyer on for absolutely no reason? That's what I was going to say.
Go for it.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I mean,
Which
not
I
the
don't
first
agree
round.
with. Like I could
I
see that
just-
one being one. Like him and Milrow are the two names that I would like wonder about being like the random ones that get thrown in there like late first round. Just so mainly just for like the 5th-year option.
It's just not. I struggle really hard. I've seen these last few years kind of go by, and a lot of these teams kind of get burned with those first round quarterbacks because they overproject, they underproduce. So it's just kind of been like that realm these last few years.
Crapshoot 90% of the time,
sure.
but like
For sure.
I'm just it's also again like the reality of what happens in the league and in the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then another quarterback for this class that might stay is Quinn. Quinn Ewers might stay at college for his 5th year.
I know, yeah. And I saw
So
UNC is looking at going after either one of them, him or
UNC,
Arch. I saw that they're prepared to pursue either one of them heavily. Should either one enter the transfer portal?
Texas would let Quinn walk in an instant. They
100%.
would.
Again, I
They
still,
they can they can definitely outbid UNC for Arch. They'll give Arch the amount of spending that UNC has to keep him there.
yeah, true. I mean, I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, that's the
Yeah,
report I saw was that
I
UNC
know.
is targeting those two, one of those two.
I read that Michigan State might offer Quinn like 10 million or something to go
Jesus.
transfer there. Or it might not be 10, but it was a lot. It was a lot of money.
No, it's wild. The whole NIL and transfer portal stuff. It is just
Yeah.
fucking
All right.
chaos. Yeah.
Let's get into a couple games from this past week real quick.
Yeah.
I guess more so the ones that kind of had implications and things of that nature.
Mhm.
We'll start off with Thursday night snooze fest with
Yeah.
Rams and Niners. This was probably the most unexpected result of this game, but also the most expecting. Like you expected the Rams to win. They
Mhm.
did, but you expected them to win in a more prolific fashion.
Right.
The
Yeah. No, I'm
funniest
with you
thing
on
that
that.
came out of that, yeah, funniest thing that came out of that game was Debo, um, basically saying that nobody throws him the ball, whereas
Mhm.
he has, I believe it's like the most drops in the NFL this season.
Yeah, he's got one touchdown on the year, and he dropped one on Thursday too
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
first down later in that game too.
yeah.
Yeah, he was
Just so,
targeted. You're not going to give me their targets. 7 targets, 3 catches.
yeah, just kind of comical at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rams with that win kind of continued to hold their
Mhm.
control over their destiny to end this year. This was the hope. Um, Kind of going forward for them was that they needed to get into the driver's position and smooth sail this into the playoffs.
Mhm.
They're not necessarily 100% in. I think winning this upcoming week is going to do wonders for them against the Jets. And then
Yeah.
outside of that, we'll kind of see what transpires.
Yeah. I mean, the Rams just since the bye, they're 7-2.
Yeah. I mean, well, you look at who they got back. They got Puka. Puka has been the difference maker on that team. You can say Cooper Cup, sure, but Cooper Cup isn't the same.
Right.
He's
You,
not
you
on the
give
same
him
level as Puka.
two. You're giving Stafford two options at that point, which helps him a ton as he's getting older. Puka is just so short-handed. It's insane the
Hmm.
plays that he makes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's like the opposite of the Lions right now. Like the Rams had their cluster injuries at the beginning of the year, and kind of found a rhythm again. And the Lions, they're getting hit with cluster injuries to end the year, which sucks for them.
Yeah. So hopefully Rams keep it up.
Hmm.
It's great for our predictions, and I
Yeah.
think that they should be good. And let's get into the game that I don't really want to talk about. Eagles Steelers. There was little implications on this game for playoffs, but for
Hmm.
excitement, there was a lot. You have two teams that can score a lot of points, but also have very good defenses. And
Yeah, the
this was
cross
a
state
very
rivalry too. Like it's
yeah.
a lot.
It was a fun game in the first half. 17-13 going to halftime. TJ
Hmm.
Watt had a forced fumble, 2 sacks on the day overall. You get into that second half, Steelers are a second half team. You have to be feeling good. And as a Steelers fan, like I was like, I'm feeling good. It's a close game. And they had a total of 5.5 minutes of possession in the second half. Got absolutely dominated on that side of the ball. They could not, they had 2 drives total. One
Yeah,
of
I was
them
just
was a
gonna say
fumble
like this.
on the 28-yard line by Najee, who never fumbles the football. And then on the other side, it was the Eagles finished the game in a 10.5 minute drive that was 21 plays long.
Yeah.
It's the most insane stat I've ever read and does not happen very
It,
often, if at all.
just all of it combined here. So again, 5 total drives in the second half in the game. 3 by the Eagles, 2 by the Steelers. In the second half, Steelers had 11 plays on offense for
Hmm.
62 yards. All three of the Eagles' drives in the second half were more than 11 plays. They had two 13-play drives and a 21-play drive.
It's just like, what are you gonna do? It was field goal, touchdown, end of game.
End of game. Yeah, 21
Steelers had,
plays, 88 yards, 10 and a half minutes with the football.
yeah, and to
Smothers you.
nobody's fault but their own. The Steelers unfortunately do have a fairly quick offense for the most part with big plays. I mean, obviously you're missing Pickens on Sunday. That hurt,
Right.
but it didn't staunch their entire team. It shouldn't have. But when you can't keep the ball and you can't get
Again,
drives going,
I don't think it's as much of an indictment on the Steelers as it is just like, good God, the Eagles O line is still insane.
yeah,
Like to be able to do that. Like, there was a lot of questions with no Jason Kelsey this year, and they have figured
yeah,
that. And it's
yeah,
just
and
not an
and
issue.
and that's all the credit to Howie Roseman, who
Mhm.
doesn't just look immediate needs. He looks, all right, what's this team need in 2 years? So he drafts those positions and says, you're going to sit here, you're going to learn from the best, and
Yeah,
when it's your time, you're going to be the best.
yeah. It's what they're doing there. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about them.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like, you can't really do much. And for the Steelers,
Yeah,
it's like you learn from this. So
yeah,
if you make it to the Super Bowl and you play Philly, you know what you're facing. That's about it. That's all you can from this.
yeah. Anybody playing the Eagles, like you have to force them into playing a track meet.
Yeah, and the Steelers did it in the first half.
Hmm.
They were forcing stops, they forced turnovers, they got the ball, they were pushing, they were making some plays. Granted, it wasn't enough to even get a lead in the first half because your offense still wasn't like pushing the ball like it usually was.
Yeah. Again,
But
that was my
yeah,
big concern with them too, with no Pickens, is like that just gives them that extra dimension to makes Russ feel more comfortable throwing outside the
yeah,
numbers there because he's never been a great quarterback throwing in between the numbers or throwing over the middle just with his
yeah.
size. But
Yeah,
it
it
is
was
what it
just
is.
yeah, you could feel like they were missing something. And
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the reason why the Steelers do inevitably lose in the playoffs when they do, is because
Right.
they're not deep enough on that wide receiver position. They don't have enough playmakers.
Yeah.
That's where they're lacking. You watch it all season long, and you see it now when Pickens goes down. You
Right.
can only force feed the ball to Najee Harris 4 feet in front of you so much before it becomes an issue.
True. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just kind of like looking ahead, hopefully in the offseason they add to that room in some capacity, whether it's via the draft or via the free agent market.
Yeah.
Once that once that happens, I feel a lot better about this team next year, but it's just kind of like playing the wait and see game.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I hope for the best. I hope they win it all and go to the Super Bowl, but just kind of playing devil's advocate, it's tough to see.
Yeah. All right. You want to jump into the top tens here?
You don't want to talk about the other insane game of the week,
Which one's that?
the Bills Lions.
Oh, I thought we did a little bit of that to start off the thing here
Did
with
we? Yeah, I
Josh
guess
Allen.
I mean, we talked about Josh Allen, but we didn't talk about how Detroit almost came back to win that game.
Did they though?
Kinda. Not really. No, because I guess that touchdown pass was to end the game. But yeah, I mean, Jared Goff had a phenomenal day at the end. He
Yeah.
threw for almost 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. I guess I just really wanted to touch on that. Good for Jared
Yeah,
Goff.
yeah. Good for
One,
Jared Goff again. Like,
yeah,
happy
good
for
for
him.
my fantasy team.
And good for our preseason stuff there for the most part.
Yeah, so happy about that. All right,
All right, let's
let's
get
get
into
into
these
this
top
top 10
tens.
then.
All right, who you got a 10?
Oh, jeez. It's such a toss up. There's so many teams that, like I always say, they're basically the same
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again. But this week, I pushed the Los Angeles Rams into my 10 spot. I'm biting my bullet, doing it early, even given their poor offensive performance on Thursday, looking slightly ahead, and the love I have for Puka kind of pushed them into that 10 spot.
I kind of love that they won the ugly game. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, because that's now what 3 weeks in a row they've kind of won in different ways.
Okay.
Hold on, let me find that. Yeah, because obviously They win the gritty game this past week. The week before, they win, hanging up 44 on the Bills. And
Yeah,
then the week before that, I mean, just playing in New Orleans is never easy, but they played a very sound game there. It's a little bit more run heavy. They're showing that they're finding different ways to win in the last
for
three
sure.
games. So I like that even more. And we're at the time of year where records start to feel less important to an extent. They're very important, but now you're kind of looking at who's getting hot at the right time and everything like that. So
Yeah,
would you
exactly.
like to guess where I have the Rams?
6.
5.
That's gross. That is
I took
disgusting.
them up to 5. Again, this is a trust thing. They're looking good at the right time. I have been telling you what for the past month now. They get into the playoffs, all bets are off.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Because that's
But
the thing,
it's
and that's what
still,
I'm looking at now too. It's just like, okay, they're in good position to win that division. What tandem do you honestly trust more between, it's Stafford and McVay, and go through
well,
the rest of
okay,
the NFC?
let's just play this. And I get it. I understand Stafford
No,
McVay. They've already done it. They've won it. They're the
yeah,
only team in the last 3 years who have done it, not named Reed and Mahomes. I get that. However, your best case scenario is the 4 seed, basically. So you're
yeah.
playing either the Minnesota Vikings
Who they beat this
in
year?
Minnesota, who they did beat, but that was a while ago.
Yeah, but they get them. They're getting them in LA.
Oh, they are going to get them in LA.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're going to get a home playoff game.
you're correct there. Slightly different, but still another game against them. It'll definitely look different. Or worst case scenario, you have to play Detroit.
And Detroit is falling apart on defense. And they played them to overtime this year, week one,
I just
where everybody got hurt.
I just don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's also week one. I mean,
Yeah, no, I understand. And but that's
yeah,
what I'm saying is like even week one, everybody got hurt for the Rams. That's when
I
they
just
lost
I don't
Puka.
know.
They lost half of their offensive line. They lost pieces on defense in that game, and they were broken down by the time that overtime started.
Yeah, I mean, I trust me, I love the Rams. I'm just saying you are slightly overprojecting. I get it though.
I don't think I am. I don't
I
think I
guess
am.
time will tell because I know you put them over 4 teams who I just I obviously couldn't do it.
Fair enough.
Who do
I
you have
like
at
where they're
9?
at. Number 9, I
Yeah,
got the Ravens.
I have the Broncos. I have the Ravens at 8.
Fair enough. Just because of how weird this one was, I went through this a few times. Had to bump them down even in the win. I'm still just unsure. The next 2 weeks, next 2 games are gonna tell me a lot as to
Yeah,
what's going on. But
for sure.
like that's as much as I know. Like I don't really know what to do with any of that just yet.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
mean,
ready to make any strong changes of judgment because you beat up on the Giants and
yeah,
Lamar had another 5 piece in that game. Like it's just
yeah.
that's
You
just
did
where I'm at.
exactly what you did exactly what you were expected to do. Good for
Hmm.
you.
Right.
And that's why I think I kept them exactly where they were last week. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I also bumped them one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I'm not apologizing to you. I'm apologizing to the
Hmm.
listeners because I got that wrong.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I have them at 8. I mean, similar circumstance. Like you did what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Teams are playing better though. They've looked better. Plus, you have a 2 game stretch that isn't easy coming up. So you're really about to get tested. So I'm curious to see what that looks like for you. Um, do you have the Broncos in your top 10?
Yeah, I had him at 10. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
you had them at 10.
I
Oh,
had him
we
at
didn't
10.
do
Yeah,
your
we
10.
skipped my 10. We were jumping around
We have
with the
Tuesday
Rams
on
there,
the
got the
Rams.
sidetrack. Yeah, no, kept the Broncos there
Okay.
with the honorable mention of the Bucks right outside there.
Yeah, the Rams and Bucks were the 2 teams I was like
Yeah, I
really
was
close
I was
on.
on Broncos and Bucks there, but like Broncos again, it's just they're finding ways to win games, and they looked like they were down and out last weekend, and then tides shifted and they handled their business against the Colts. Like they're a good team. Whoever's going to get them in the first round is not going to have fun.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
I
they're
think
not an
every
easy out.
AFC, yeah, I think every AFC game is going to be tight. It's going to be close, and I'm excited to
Yeah,
see what those games kind of look like. All right, so I have the Ravens at 8. like I said, a lot of the same stuff as you
Hmm.
said. Curious to see what they look like going forward. Who do you have at 8?
I got the Steelers at 8.
Okay, I have the Steelers at 7.
I bumped them down just a couple spots. Kind of just
Mm-hmm.
what we talked about with that game. It's just no
Yeah,
Pickens. It's not the same team. Again, it's not so
yeah,
much taking a shot at them for losing to the Eagles as it is. It's just they look different
yeah.
without Pickens, and that's
It was, yeah. It overall felt
unsettling.
like a very, yeah. It
Yeah.
felt like a very weird game. They struggled out the gate, which was expected.
Hmm.
But it was the weird part was they never got going in the second half.
No.
After Najee fumbled, and when they had another opportunity, they couldn't push it. So that was my pause for concern. I mean, obviously, still like the Steelers, it just kind of gives me like a little bit of like clarity of like,
Yeah,
okay,
no,
this is kind of where
you're
we're at right now.
pumping the brakes a little bit. And this is what I said too, is this 3 game stretch for them coming up was going to tell me a lot about
Yeah,
this team. They go 2-1.
yeah,
That's kind of like the baseline for me to, feel emboldened by putting them into that Super Bowl bubble. But
yeah,
one
yeah.
and
We'll kind of
two, it
see.
flips it a little bit there.
We'll kind of yeah. They kind of like stay on that same like line as I've
Hmm.
always had on. But we'll see here on Saturday what that looks like.
Yeah.
So who's your 7?
So this is the one that you're probably going to push back a lot on, even more than the Rams.
Oh boy.
I dropped the Lions down.
You dropped the lines to 7.
I did. And this is
Are you on
again,
crack?
this is
I'm so sorry.
strictly an injury thing, and because of what could potentially happen. If they fall to the 5 seed, I do not like their chances at all. If they fall to the 5 seed,
That might be the most insane one I've seen. You said it was funky. I didn't realize just how funky it
yeah,
was.
and
No,
I say
again,
that
if they
thinking the 6 teams that I have above them right now, I like the positions that they're in more than I like the Lions right now.
I
And
just
it's
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
unfortunate. I feel for him, but like when you have 22 guys on IR and it's defensive heavy, and on top of that, Dan Campbell, that onside kick with 11 minutes to go or 12 minutes to go in the game, like
Yeah, I mean Dan Campbell makes dumb decisions. We know
no, I
that.
understand that, but it's not even that. It's just like the optics of it. You're saying you don't trust your defense at that point.
Yeah,
You don't want
which is
to,
fair.
yeah, and like. Which I'm not necessarily blaming him for not trusting his defense because he's got practice squad guys out there at this point. But that's also just like where it's at with them. You know what I mean?
I think a drop was slightly warranted. I mean, not. I guess I can't really say that because I didn't drop them that far. But if their offense still didn't look as good as it did, sure, I get it. But their offense is still ridiculous
Their
through and
offense
through.
is great, but like they're with all the injuries, they're one dimensional team now. They have to win by
Sure,
shootout. They
sure,
have to do that. And, Jared Goff, if he's uncomfortable, doesn't put up points.
yeah. I mean, I guess we'll really see. Luckily, they play the Bears this week.
Right.
We'll see how they look against Minnesota the
Are they
final week, and
in?
hopefully they're slightly more healthy then.
Do they go to Chicago this week? They do. So
Yeah,
this is the thing too. It's next 2 games. It's Jared Goff outside.
yeah. I mean, again, we'll kind
Not
of see.
great weather.
Yeah, but the
And
Bears
no David
defense,
Montgomery for the rest of the year. That's the other part of it too.
yeah, oh yeah. So the Bears
Like,
defense since Matt Eberflus has been like is dead last in every statistical category,
mhm.
dead last. So that does
Entirely
bode
fair. I'm
well.
just saying it's also a divisional game kind of
Sure,
thing. So and they're always
sure,
funky.
sure. Yeah, definitely don't agree with that. Who's your 6? We know who your 6 is. My 6 is
No, my
the
6 is the
Packers.
Packers.
Oh, your 6. Oh, that's right. Rams are 5. Yeah, so Packers for both of us.
Yeah. Um, Go ahead on the Packers. You go ahead. Start.
No, I mean, it's the end of Toyotathon, so I do expect Jordan Love to drop off here a little bit.
Fair enough.
But no, I mean they still look like a pretty good team, pretty complete
Mhm.
overall. Just when Jordan Love isn't playing like an absolute stupid idiot. But they also did what I expected them to do, which was go to Seattle, win
Mhm.
that game, and walk out alive. I mean they get Saints, Vikings, Bears to end the year. So you
Yeah, they're in good
need to beat
position.
Minnesota to better yourself. But
Mhm.
even then, that means you need Minnesota to lose against you and Detroit for you to have that 5 seed. But also, how desperately do you want the 5 seed? It's like one of those things.
Yeah, it depends on who ends up with the 4 seed. If it's, I think whoever the wild card team is that gets to play the NFC South is very happy.
Yeah, I guess I forgot. That's the other thing. Like the Rams could still end up with that 3 seed, which is kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
more than likely, I would guess at this point. I mean, like I guess the Bucks do have the. I mean, they have the same record as the Bucks. Bucks have the tiebreaker because of conference games right now,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's all really close.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. But yeah, Packers again, offense still looks good. Their defense looked better than I was expecting on Sunday, but again, it's Swiss cheese out there 9 times out of 10. So it's always going to be my one downfall with the Packers.
Yeah, and they what I do like about them is the shift that they've made and taking some of the pressure off that defense and using Jacobs a lot more. They're
Yeah,
less passing
that's
going
fair.
on there, and they're making Jacobs the focal point, and that's helping that defense
Yeah,
out a lot there. But
yeah, definitely. I'd
yeah.
say so.
So my 5 was the Rams. Who's your 5?
The Vikings.
I got the Vikings at 4.
I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota, beyond all odds, just continues to outperform what I expected of them.
Mhm.
But if you want to know that, go to one of our first episodes and you'll see me sound now like a complete idiot. But back then, it was sound reasoning.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, I like them as a team. Their defense
Mm.
still continues to prove that they are a force to be reckoned with without any big name players. So good on them. That's about coaching. That comes
Yeah.
down to you have a great defensive coordinator at the end of the day. And their offense and Sam Darnold have just continued to play very well week to week and getting the job done. So
No.
I have to give them their flowers there.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with them too, and also just like we talked about too, they could mess around and be the 1 seed,
Yeah,
and that's just insane to me.
yeah.
Yeah, they look so good. Justin Jefferson, I don't know. Are we calling him best since? How far are we willing to go on Justin Jefferson?
Best receiver? Like, is that what you're saying? Like,
Yeah,
best
and
since
how
his
long?
name?
And how long? He's
I mean, he's
far and
best.
away the best receiver in the league right now.
Yeah, yeah. He's best since Moss. Let's just call it what it is.
We're going since Moss. I was gonna say since Megatron, but I didn't know if that was too even that was too
No,
far.
I mean, I think Megatron was great, but he was one-sided on his play style, whereas like Jefferson does
Fair
more.
enough. I mean, he does have single season receiving record.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Well,
yeah,
fair enough. But
but
I'd
Jefferson
say
is
I'd
just
say
insane.
I'd say he probably has a longer shelf life than Megatron did, and like that's where it's gonna come
Yeah,
down.
true. I mean, that's
Where
just
it'll
what happens
if
with.
it's not best in Moss now, it's gonna be best in Moss in this time next year or the year after or however you want to say it.
Yeah, fair enough.
It'll be the case.
And then Addison quietly being like maybe the best number 2 in the league.
I mean, he's been phenomenal these like last
It's
4 weeks.
I know, and I think there's a real discussion for it. Like if you have the best tandems in the league, it's Higgins and
Yeah,
Chase, Devontae, AJ Brown, these two,
Chase Addison, not Chase Addison, Jefferson Addison.
Jefferson and Addison.
I mean, I guess Adams and Garrett Wilson. It's a great tandem. Terrible team.
Fair enough. I was gonna say, I mean, you can Cup and Puka, but like
Oh, Cup and
Cup's
Puka.
Cup's aging there too. Like
I don't
I
know.
think they're in
Puka's a
that discussion with
stud.
those top 3 though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you want to talk about tandems on paper, though. I mean, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, performance-wise, no, but on
Yeah,
paper,
but
yeah.
I was gonna say even like I don't know. I think Addison and Jefferson have a much stronger case.
Oh, 100%. I'm just saying, I was
Even
just giving out
that's fair.
duos at that point.
Fair enough. But yeah, I mean that was all I had extra on the
Yeah,
Vikings there. All right, who you got at 3?
for sure. All right. I mean, at 4,
Oh, 4, sorry.
so looking at this and after our conversations, I'm just gonna give it to you. My 2, 3, 4 is Lions, Bills, Eagles. Lions at 2, Bills at 3, Eagles at 4. But like talking about it a bit, I kind of would put the Lions at 4, Bills at 3, and Eagles at 2.
I think
I think that's more reasonable after kind of like our discussion.
that's the same top 3 that I have.
Yeah, I
Well, I
think that's
mean,
what I'm
and
gonna
we
put.
both have the Chiefs at
Chiefs
1
at
right
1.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
got
think that's
Chiefs,
what I'll.
Eagles, Bills at 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to flip to just based on our talk about the Lions in that discussion.
And again,
Because, like,
this is nothing really against the Lions. It's just
no,
they're falling apart at the wrong time
I- I'm I'm not sure they're necessarily falling apart. They're just a little injured.
physically.
By little, I
A
mean
little?
half the team. I said by little, I mean half the team. The Eagles and the Bills just are showing more
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah. There's a much clearer identity. Eagles, however, just don't want to break every rule in how to run a football operation, but like are still just winning games. Makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah.
AJ
I
Brown's
don't
starting
understand.
fires. Brandon Graham is pouring gasoline on it. You got coaches fighting on the sideline this
And
past
then
weekend.
they're
Like,
still they
and they're just winning
dominated time of
games.
possession, and that was the difference at the end of the game.
Hmm.
And then yeah, we talked about the Bills. We talked about the Eagles a bit. Man, Chiefs at one. We didn't really talk about them. Wasn't a
Yeah,
whole lot to talk about. Mahomes got injured down the
not
stretch
really.
at the end of the game, but he practiced 3 straight days, so
Yeah,
he's gonna play. And the Chiefs, of course, won. I wouldn't say handedly, but they won. They got the
they won by
job done.
2 scores.
Yeah, which is the third time this year they've done that. So good for them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're just again. I don't really know what there is to say about it at this point. Like, they're the best team in the league until proven otherwise.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. But
I mean,
yeah,
they
that's
did kind of win that game handily. Actually,
yeah.
it was
Okay.
21-0, and then Jerome
Oh,
Ford
really?
broke off,
Okay.
and then Ford broke off a 62-yarder. So
Okay. I stopped paying attention to that game pretty quick.
yeah, I mean,
All right.
who knows?
You got anything else for the people out there?
No, no, I am good on this week here.
All right, man. Well, there
Sounds
you
good.
have it. Those are our top tens. That was week 15. Well, week 14 in the
No,
week
it's week
15 in
50.
the books. Yeah, I thought caught myself. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, got some chaos coming up this next week again.
Peace.